Part 45. The Best Physiognomist. Author, Yan Yun Yuchi. Chapter 441. King Xin lives in a tea house. Young Master Zhang, no. When she saw her boss giving up resistance and escaping, and willing to die, the pretty girl shook her head and shouted, standing in front of him, and then begged Zhang Fengjai with tears streaming down her face. Zhang Shaoxia, although the boss's personality is a bit cold, he is definitely a warm-hearted and good person. Please don't hurt him. Looking at Wu Yuzhi, who was waiting for death with his eyes closed, and at the pretty girl begging for help, Zhang Fengjai couldn't help but frown. Zhang Fengjai's frowning reaction made the pretty girl's face suddenly change, and she immediately knelt down and said with a hint of determination in her eyes, "Zhang Shaoxia, as long as you are willing to let the boss live, I will agree to any request you have." Well. Seeing that both the pretty girl and Wu Yuzhi misunderstood what he meant, Zhang Fengjai couldn't help but sigh and signaled, "Girl, get up first. Actually, I came to see Boss Wu today. I just have some official matters to discuss. I have no intention of taking his life at all." When hearing Zhang Fengjai's explanation, the pretty girl's eyes suddenly showed a look of surprise. Wu Yuzhi suddenly opened his eyes, but there was a questioning look in his eyes. Because he knew that apart from personal hatred, he and Zhang Fengjai had no business dealings at all, so there were no official discussions between them. "Boss Wu, as long as you agree to my two requests next, all the grievances between you and me will be wiped out," Zhang Fengjai said calmly as he looked up at Wu Yuzhi, who stretched out his hand to help the pretty girl up. "Please tell me," Wu Yuzhi signaled quickly. Zhang Fengjai raised his arm, stretched out two fingers, and then retracted one finger and said, "The first request is to remove the Feng Shui formation that changed the fate of Kowloon Group Chairman Chen Yunhan and completely cut off all contact with him." "Why?" As the leading real estate and tourism company in Ningji City, Kowloon Group's annual net profit reaches more than 4 billion. As the backer of Chen Yunhan's meteoric rise, he can receive 30% of the profit dividends of the Kowloon Group every year, which is more than 1 billion in revenue. The annual income of more than 1 billion is not only the basis for him to enjoy a luxurious life, but also an important fund for purchasing the resources needed for spiritual practice. Therefore, when hearing Zhang Fengjai's first request, Wu Yuzhi couldn't help but frown and asked, "Because Chen Yunhan ignored my warning, Zhang Fengjai, and wanted to annex the property that my wife had worked so hard to build, and sent desperados to assassinate her," Zhang Fengjai said with murderous intent. "Zhang Fengjai, I agree to your request. From now on, I will completely draw a clear line between Chen Yunhan and me. His life and death have nothing to do with me. As a poisonous cultivator who came from an evil sect, Wu Yuzhi is a very traditional monk. He is born with a kind of indifference to mortal existence and a sense of superiority and pride. This is why the pretty girl just willingly gave everything for him, but he did not do anything. No reason to be moved. Chen Yunhan ignored Zhang Fengjai's warning and sent people to sneak attack his woman, which was tantamount to provoking the dignity of all monks in the world. This was also a humiliation that he could not tolerate at all. Therefore, Wu Yuzhi, with a flash of anger in his eyes, immediately nodded in agreement. After retracting the second finger, Zhang Fengjai continued, "The second request is that you don't get involved in the four-spirit soul gathering array in the cemetery of Liuyuhang village in the future, because it is already my private property. It turns out that you are the backer behind Panai Real Estate Company. Thinking that the real estate company that took over the old city renovation project from the Kowloon Group not only had no fear of Chen Yunhan's black and white power, but also had an overall plan that completely followed the layout of the 5 elements Feng Shui, this made him always suspect that the real estate company had something to do with it. The figure of the Feng Shui master." Now, when hearing Zhang Fengjai's second request, Wu Yuzhi suddenly realized. That's right. In this regard, Zhang Fengjai nodded and admitted without any concealment. "Zhu Zhenjun, the chairman of Panai Real Estate Company, is my brother who has a close friendship. I asked him to take over the old village reconstruction project from Chen Yunhan. The purpose is to occupy the Four Spirits Soul Gathering Array. Zhang Fenjai's determined tone and attitude made Wu Yuzhi know that he had to give in to the Four Spirit Soul Gathering Array, unless his cultivation and strength could surpass the opponents. At the same time, in just over 2 months, the cultivation base can be directly advanced from the early stage of the 7th level of Qi condensation to the middle stage of the foundation building stage. This shows that the other party not only possesses monster-level talents and potential, but also has the support of powerful forces behind him. Therefore, no matter how unwilling he was, for the sake of his own life, he could only nod in agreement. All right. Chen Yunhan, who has lost the protection of Wu Yuzhi, is as good as the Lu family who has lost Shang Shiniu. Not only has bad luck begun to plague him, but his business will also plummet. So, the decline of the Kowloon Group is a once-in-a-lifetime annexation opportunity for Zhu Zhenjun's Panai Real Estate Company and Shen Loxi's Yongsheng Group. Therefore, Zhang Fenjai bowed with one hand and turned around to leave the tea house as promised. Well. After looking back at Zhang Fenjai's departure, Wu Yuzhi sighed and gave instructions to the pretty girl. "Ya Yan, I will be away from Ningji City for a while, so I will leave the tea house to you for the time being." "Boss, what are you going to do? Is it dangerous? Do you need me to accompany you?" the pretty girl called Ya Yan asked nervously. In response, Wu Yuzhi just shook his head indifferently, then turned back to the top floor of the tea house. Considering that the Lu family, who was plagued by bad luck, dared to send thugs to follow Shen Loxi, then, the bold Chen Yunhan might do something even crazier. So, after leaving the tea house as promised, Zhang Fenjai took a taxi directly back to the front of Xintang building. However, when he paid the money and got off the car and came to the front yard of the building, he unexpectedly saw a group of people standing in the front yard of the building looking up at the sky. Following the gazes of the crowd, Zhang Fenjai soon saw a girl with a very ordinary appearance and figure, about 20 years old, standing on the protective wall on the top floor of Xintang building. At the same time, from the girl's excitement and the despair in her eyes, he knew that the girl was not climbing up to enjoy the scenery, but was planning to jump off the building like committing suicide. Xiao is so pitiful. Not only was she ruthlessly abandoned by her boyfriend, but she is also pregnant with his child. Although her boyfriend is ruthless, the most hateful person is the vixen who seduced her boyfriend. That's right, I have long seen that Wang Huanshan is not a good woman. She relies on her beauty and good figure to hook up with men everywhere. The Best Physiognomist. Author, Yan Yun Yuqi. Chapter 442. The front yard of Xintang building. Hearing the gossips of several gossipers around him, Zhang Fenjai, who had withdrawn his gaze from the girl on the roof, could not help but frown. As the highest-end boutique office building in Ningji City, Xintang building is not only home to many high-quality companies and enterprises, but also gathers many top beauties. Once upon a time, several bored young men from an advertising creative company, through nearly a month of observation and investigation, rank 6 top beauties in terms of appearance, figure, temperament, nature, and family background. Among them, the 4 beauties were Shen Loxi, general manager of Yongsheng Group, ranked first; Lin Shilan, chairman of Shilan Group, ranked second; 11 Daixuan, chairman of Yuxian Cosmetics Company, ranked third; and Sulitzi, director of the sales department of Yongsheng Group, ranked fourth. The 2 best, respectively, are He Panman, chairman of Hixing Venture Capital Company, and Wang Huanshan, the famous chef of Tia National Catering Group. Later, according to the further explanation of those bored young men at the building forum, if we ignore the temperament and family background, Sulitzi will rank higher than 11 Daixuan, who ranks third, among the 4 beauties, and Wang Huanshan will rank higher than He Panman, who ranks first in Xintang building. Although he had only met Wang Huanshan a few times in the elevator and had never had any communication with each other, he had secretly observed such a stunning top beauty. Her cold and arrogant temperament like an iceberg made it difficult for her to approach, and her lonely and silent personality made it difficult for her to trust others. The picky eyes of a top chef made many excellent men simply unattractive to her. For example, Chen Ximing, the CEO of Fengqin Investment Co., Limited, who was regarded as the Prince Charming and dream lover by countless girls in Xintang Building and was worth over 100 million, had pursued her crazily for more than a year. During this period, the flowers sent alone were almost nearly 1 million, not to mention all kinds of expensive cosmetics and jewelry, but they were all thrown into the trash by Wang Huanshan. Generally, such a picky beauty would definitely not destroy other people's families. So, after automatically blocking the gossiper's discussion, Zhang Fengjai quickly glanced around and soon saw Shen Loxi and Sulitzi surrounded by the staff. Zhang Fengjai appeared beside Shen Loxi and Sulitzi and asked directly. "Sister Litzi, what's going on?" "Yezi, you're back." Shen Loxi immediately reached out and held his arm when she saw Zhang Fengjai appearing beside her, and said happily. After nodding to Shen Loxi, Zhang Fengjai's eyes went directly to Sulitzi, because he remembered that Sulitzi had a good relationship with Wang Huanshan. "Yezi, you quickly find a way to save Xiao, and you must not let her get into trouble." Sulitzi, who did not answer immediately, reached out and held Zhang Fengjai's other arm, and asked anxiously in her eyes. Facing Sulitzi's request, Zhang Fengjai did not continue to ask, but looked up at the height of the building, and then looked at the firefighting air cushion arranged by the firefighters, and couldn't help shaking his head. Firstly, the firefighting air cushion can only withstand an impact height of more than 20 meters at most, and the vertical height of Xintang Building is nearly 100 meters, which can't play a life-saving role at all. Secondly, even if the firefighting air cushion can reduce certain injuries and win precious time for rescue, but with the current wind speed on objects, no one can guarantee whether Xiao can accurately fall on the firefighting air cushion. Therefore, the firefighting air cushion is now just a manifestation of the firefighters' best efforts. There is only one way to fulfill Sulitzi's request, that is, to rush to the top of the building immediately, and then rely on the speed of Qingfeng's step to directly carry Xiao down the protective wall. "I'll go save Xiao now." So, after nodding to agree to Sulitzi's request, Zhang Fengjai took a step to rush into the building door and rushed to the top of the building, when there was a sudden commotion at the scene. Suddenly looking up, he saw Wang Huanshan, who was wearing a white chef's coat, with a temperament as cold as an iceberg and a peerless face, suddenly appeared on the top protective wall. Standing on the nearly 100-meter high protective wall, feeling the whistling wind around, Wang Huanshan, who was a little unsteady, explained to Gu Yu with a trace of worry in her eyes. "Wu Yu, Wang Bin and I are just ordinary colleagues, not what you imagined at all. Wang Huanshan, you are a vixen who sleeps with thousands of people and rides with thousands of people. If you hadn't seduced my boyfriend, how could he have the heart to break up with me?" Wu Yu, who was full of resentment in her heart, didn't care that her left side was nearly 100 meters in the air. She pointed at Wang Huanshan in excitement and insulted him with extremely unpleasant words. Wang Huanshan, with a trace of anger in her eyes, took a deep breath to suppress her anger, and explained in a calm tone as much as possible. "Wu Yu, Wang Bin may be very good in your eyes, but in my eyes, Wang Huanshan, he is just like garbage thrown on the roadside. He is not even qualified to carry my shoes. How could I despise myself and take the initiative to seduce him? Wang Huanshan, if you hadn't taken the initiative to seduce Brother Bin, how could Brother Bin have your sexy photos in his phone?" Wu Yu did not believe the love between the two because of Wang Huanshan's disparagement of Wang Bin. She then revealed the ironclad evidence that Wang Huanshan took the initiative to seduce Wang Bin. Wang Huanshan, with her eyebrows slightly wrinkled, turned her head to look at the ordinary young man standing on the rooftop, and asked in a cold tone. Wang Bin, I have never taken any sexy photos. Where did the photos in your phone come from? Faced with Wang Huanshan's questioning, Wang Bin's eyes flashed with evasive eyes, and he cursed Wu Yu with an extremely annoyed look. Damn stinky woman, don't threaten me with suicide by jumping off the building. If you really have the courage, then jump down now. Not good. Seeing Wang Bin's ruthless and righteous curse, which made Wu Yu retreat in grief, Wang Huanshan's face suddenly changed and secretly said that it was not good, then she rushed over and reached out to grab Wu Yu. However, although she successfully pulled Wu Yu back to the rooftop, she fell directly out of the protective wall due to inertia and wind speed. Falling from a height of nearly 100 meters, there is only one result, that is, death by shattering. At this moment, feeling her body falling rapidly, Wang Huanshan did not have the slightest fear. At this moment, thinking that she would have to say goodbye to this world completely in a few seconds, she suddenly felt a little regretful, regretting that she had not really had a relationship. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Best Physiognomist. Author, Yan Yun Yuqi. Chapter 443. The front yard of Xintang Building. Seeing Wang Huanshan falling from the protective wall, Sulitzi screamed subconsciously. Yezi. With the help of the speed of Qingfeng's step, Zhang Fengjai rushed to the 18th floor along the stairs. When he heard the exclamation from downstairs and Sulitzi's shout, a look of determination flashed in his eyes, and then he rushed out by smashing the glass in front of him. Ah! Seeing the thin boy rushing out of the window on the 18th floor, the crowd watching downstairs screamed. Yezi. Seeing Zhang Fengjai breaking the glass and rushing out of the high-rise building, Sulitzi and Shen Loxi screamed with pale faces. And Sulitzi's eyes immediately revealed a look of self-blame and regret. Blaming herself for meddling in other people's business, she regretted that she had just caused Zhang Fengjai to scream at risk. Goshawk, help me. After rushing out of the 18th floor by breaking the glass, Zhang Fengjai first looked up at the falling Wang Huanshan, and then threw out the talisman he had taken out before breaking the glass. Cry. Accompanied by the eagle's cry that shocked the sky and stopped the clouds, a handsome and fierce giant goshawk with a wingspan of more than 7 meters suddenly rushed out from the burning flames of the talisman. What a big eagle! Among the audience, there were immediately shocked exclamations and discussions. Hey! Did you see how the eagle appeared just now? It seems to be transformed from a piece of yellow paper thrown by Zhang Fengjai. Could it be that Zhang Fengjai has the legendary look of being able to turn beans into soldiers? After the eagle cried to the sky, the goshawk stopped flapping its wings and swooped down, successfully catching Zhang Fengjai who was falling. While quickly mobilizing the grey energy of Danshan to penetrate into his feet, Zhang Fengjai looked up at the direction where Wang Huanshan fell. Then, with the help of the eagle's back, he kicked his feet and flew into the air like a cannonball, heading straight for Wang Huanshan. I had plenty of time in front of me, but I didn't cherish it well. I regretted it when I lost it now. This is the most painful thing in the world. If God could give me another chance, I would definitely change my cold and arrogant character and strive to pursue my own love. Just when she was full of regret, Wang Huanshan suddenly remembered a scene in a movie she had watched that moved her to tears, and her consciousness immediately began to automatically adapt the quotes in the scene. Just when the quotes were just adapted, a strong and powerful arm suddenly hugged her waist, and then a masculine breath made her crawl into the other's arms powerlessly. And at this moment, a slightly familiar roar suddenly came from her ears. Goshawk, charge! Although Wang Huanshan was very slim, her height of 1.75 meters also made her weigh more than 100 kilograms, which increased the speed of falling by at least 3 times and the impact force by at least 5 times. Therefore, Zhang Fengjai, who was too late to use the gray energy to reduce the weight of 2 people, immediately reminded the goshawk, who was ready to take over. The goshawk mobilized the power of the talisman and flapped its wings vigorously. The moment it successfully caught Zhang Fengjai and Wang Huanshan, the strong impact force directly caused the goshawk to fall nearly 20 meters. Fortunately, the talisman power mobilized in advance allowed the goshawk to stabilize the trend of falling. Cry. The battle with the Black Bat King, who had reached the 6th level of foundation building, consumed nearly 4/5 of the energy of the talisman. The energy of the talisman rune was basically exhausted by mobilizing the power of the talisman to resist the impact, which also made the goshawk transformed by the talisman on the verge of disappearance. The spell that can transform into a goshawk is drawn with the blood of the goshawk monster beast and runes. The runes still retain a trace of the goshawk monster beast's instinct, that is, the desire to release the idea of soaring in the sky in the blood at the moment of complete disappearance. So, the goshawk slowly flapped its wings and cried to the sky to ask. Alas! Facing the goshawk's request, Zhang Fengjai sighed and nodded in agreement. Go. I'll accompany you. The goshawk, with excitement in his eyes, cried excitedly to the sky, and then flapped his wings vigorously to soar into the sky. When he landed steadily on the broad back of the goshawk, Wang Huanshan, who gradually recovered a little strength, quietly turned his head to look at the boy who saved him. It's him. When he saw the familiar face, Wang Huanshan's eyes flashed with a hint of surprise. Among the 2 beauties in Xingtang building, only she and Sulitzi worked for others. The attraction of the same status made them very close to each other, which was why Sulitzi asked Zhang Fengjai to rescue Wu Yu. Because Sulitzi knew Wang Huanshan's character very well, and knew that if Wu Yu got into trouble, she would definitely feel guilty and painful for the rest of her life. It was precisely because of the good relationship between them that Wang Huanshan not only knew that Zhang Fengjai was Sulitzi's boyfriend, but also secretly observed him carefully. However, the result of the observation made her very disappointed. First, Zhang Fengjai's appearance and dress were too ordinary, and he was not worthy of the peerless Sulitzi. Second, Zhang Fengjai was too young, which would prevent Sulitzi from enjoying the pampering and doting she deserved. Third, Zhang Fengjai's job is dangerous and has no technical content, which cannot guarantee Sulitzi's future happy life. Therefore, she persuaded Sulitzi to break up with Zhang Fengjai more than once, but Sulitzi shook her head and refused every time. At this time, when she saw Zhang Fengjai showing shocking means, she vaguely guessed why Sulitzi was unwilling to break up. At this moment, with the eagle soaring into the sky, she couldn't help but observe Zhang Fengjai carefully from a close distance. Although his appearance is ordinary, his resolute face gives people a very masculine feeling, which is countless times stronger than those young men who only know how to put on makeup. The deep melancholy revealed in his clear and transparent eyes not only gives people a sense of conviction, but also can move his cold and lonely heart. At the same time, the strong and powerful arms and the mysterious breath that resist the airflow made Wang Huanshan finally understand why Sulitzi was unwilling to break up with Zhang Fengjai. If it were me, I would never give up such an excellent and powerful boyfriend. Regardless of its own strength or the influence of its bloodline, the goshawk transformed by the spell could not soar at an altitude of 10,000 meters like the giant dragon condensed by the pseudo-dragon vein. At the same time, considering the need to send Zhang Fengjai back to the ground safely, the goshawk flew to an altitude of 2,000 meters, raised its head to the sky and uttered its last cry, then turned around and dived down. Finally, when it was still 10 meters above the ground, the goshawk transformed by the rune completely disappeared. The Best Physiognomist. Author, Yan Yun Yuqi. Chapter 444. The front yard of Xingtang building. At the moment when the hawk completely disappeared, Zhang Fengjai quickly mobilized the gray energy to reduce the weight of his body, and landed steadily on the ground holding Wang Huanshan. Yezi, are you okay? Shen Loxi rushed over immediately, directly pulled Wang Huanshan away from his arms, and asked with worry in his eyes. And looking at Wang Huanshan with a trace of reluctance in her eyes, Sulitzi couldn't help but frowned. "Loxi, I'm fine." After shaking his head, Zhang Fengjai looked at Sulitzi, who was walking over, and said with a smile, "Sister Litzi, I finally saved Wang Huanshan and lived up to your trust." "Yezi, I'm sorry." Holding Zhang Fengjai with both hands, Sulitzi apologized self-blamingly, and crawled to his ear to whisper a promise. "From now on, I will never let you take risks again." "Sister Litzi, it's okay." Reaching out and patting Sulitzi's shoulders, Zhang Fengjai smiled and comforted her. He looked up and saw that the attention of the crowd around him was all on him, and hurriedly reminded her in a low voice, "Sister Litzi, Loxi, let's go back to the company first." Sulitzi and Shen Loxi, who were also not used to being in the spotlight, nodded quickly. Afterwards, when he held Sulitzi's jade hand and turned to enter the building, a middle-aged man in a fire police uniform rushed to him quickly. After a very formal salute, the middle-aged man took the lead in introducing himself. "Hello, I am Xing Xiong, the captain of our Renchange District Fire Brigade. If you ask who is the most respected person in the world, many people will say doctors who save lives, teachers who teach and educate people, sanitation workers who clean up the city, etc. But in Zhang Fengjai's heart, firefighters, known as all-round warriors, should be the most respected people. Because in addition to the fires that are part of their duties, they can also help with natural disasters and man-made disasters, as well as opening windows and locks for others. Anyway, as long as you can imagine the difficulties, the firefighters will help you solve them wholeheartedly." So, after seeing the salute from the fire captain Xing Xiong, he quickly let go of Sulitzi's jade hand and bowed respectfully in return. "Captain Xing, hello, my name is Zhang Fengjai, and I am an employee of Yongsheng Group." Seeing that Zhang Fengjai not only did not have the arrogance of the peerless masters described in movies, TV dramas, and online novels, but was very humble and polite, Xing Xiong secretly breathed a sigh of relief and asked with a hint of expectation in his eyes, "Zhang Fengjai, I wonder how much you earn a month at Yongsheng Group?" "Captain Xing, Zhang Fengjai is not only my personal assistant and bodyguard, but also responsible for coordinating the business of many departments of the group, so he now enjoys an annual salary and profit dividends. Whether it is a boutique residential community, a leisure resort, or a commercial building used for office, fire safety and project quality always come first, and firefighting is also a department that real estate companies deal with more." This also led to Shen Loxi being very familiar with Xing Xiong, the captain of the fire brigade, and being more aware of the purpose of his asking about Zhang Fengjai's monthly salary. It was nothing more than seeing Zhang Fengjai's ability to transform into a goshawk and fly, which could save trapped people and colleagues at a critical moment, and wanted to hire him to join the fire brigade as a firefighter. Although it is glorious to be a respected firefighter, all women in the world are very selfish. They don't want their beloved men to take risks at all, even if their beloved men have supernatural powers. After all, you should be prepared for anything. Therefore, before Zhang Fengjai answered Xing Xiong's question, Shen Loxi took the initiative to fabricate a new identity and income for him for the second time. According to the development and benefits of Yongsheng Group in recent years, Zhang Fengjai's annual after-tax income is about 20 million. When Xing Xiong heard that Zhang Fengjai's annual salary had reached 20 million after tax, not to mention that he couldn't help but take a breath, even Wang Huanshan, who looked down on his work, and the crowds around him showed extremely shocked expressions in their eyes. After all, many high-quality companies in Xintang Building have a net profit of 20 million after tax every year. Looking at Shen Loxi, who tried her best to protect Zhang Fengjai, and looking at Sulitzi, whose face did not change, Wang Huanshan's eyes showed a hint of speculation. Alas! After the expectation in his eyes was replaced by disappointment, Xing Xiong sighed and nodded, and then when he turned around and was about to leave, Zhang Fengjai suddenly spoke to keep him. Captain Xing, let's exchange phone numbers. If you encounter any difficulties that cannot be solved in the future, you can call me for help. Really? Xing Xiong asked in surprise. In the usual fire rescue process, the most feared thing is fire in high-rise buildings. First, the process of extinguishing and fighting fires is relatively difficult. Second, there is a very great fatal danger for the trapped people who need to be rescued and the firefighters who go to rescue. If Zhang Fengjai can help at the critical moment, then it will definitely reduce nearly half of the casualties. Captain Xing, how can I laugh at a matter of life and death? Zhang Fengjai smiled and affirmed, and also put forward his own request. However, since I am usually busy with work, it is impossible for me to participate in every rescue of your fire brigade, so I hope that Captain Xing will call me when I encounter a real danger that cannot be handled. Zhang Fengjai, please rest assured, Xing understands. Even without Zhang Fengjai's deliberate reminder, Xing Xiong knew that good steel should be used on the blade, so he nodded quickly and turned to arrange the team to withdraw. Yes, even if you are very angry and want to criticize me now, I will not regret what I did just now. Seeing Zhang Fengjai's eyes retracted and cast on himself, Shen Loxi straightened his chest and said. In response, Zhang Fengjai just smiled, then held Sulizi's jade hand and walked into the building. However, just when they arrived in front of the elevator in the corridor on the first floor, Wu Yu, who was supported by two firefighters, and a young man who barely looked handsome walked out of the slowly opened elevator. Wang Bin, take out your mobile phone immediately. When seeing the young man walking out of the elevator, Wang Huanshan suddenly rushed in front of him and ordered with a frosty face. Why? Wang Bin, with a panic in his eyes, asked back forcefully. Wu Yu said that there are sexy photos of me in your phone gallery, but I have never taken such photos, so I want to check your phone. Wang Huanshan stretched out her hand as white as warm jade and said in an even colder voice. The Best Physiognomist. Author, Yan Yun Yuqi. Chapter 445. Xintang Building, in front of the elevator on the first floor. Wang Huanshan, Wu Yu got it wrong. There are no photos in my phone. While vigorously shaking his head in denial, Wang Bin retreated quietly and planned to escape. Wang Denmei, under the request of Sulizi's eyes, stepped aside to block the direction in which he wanted to escape. Smelly woman, get out of my way. Wang Bin cursed and stretched out his right hand to attack Wang Denmei's private parts, not only hoping that she would get out of the way to escape, but also to take advantage of the opportunity. After all, Wang Denmei is the second most beautiful woman in Xintang Mansion. With the careful teachings of Zhang Fengjai and the help of the energy of the flesh and blood essence of the secondary monsters, Wang Denmei's internal strength has reached its peak limit. It is possible to advance to the acquired realm of martial arts at any time, and achieve achievements comparable to those of monks in the Qi condensation realm. Martial Arts Master. Therefore, when Wang Denmei saw Wang Bin's hands attacking her privacy, a cold light flashed in her eyes. After holding the opponent's wrist with her right hand as fast as the wind, she began to slowly increase the strength of her grip. Ah, it hurts, you stinky woman, let me go quickly. The unbearable pain made Wang Bin's face gradually distort, and at the same time, he still continued to insult without mercy, which also made Wang Denmei's jade hands work harder. Wu Yu, who was being supported by the firefighters, had a look of unbearability and distress in his eyes. Wang Huanshan walked quickly to Wang Bin and took out his mobile phone from his pocket. When Wang Huanshan wanted to open the mobile phone to view the gallery, she found that the phone had been set with a power-on password. Wang Bin, what's the password for your phone? After trying the password twice, the wrong message was displayed. This made Wang Huanshan, who had only one chance left, asked without daring to continue trying. I don't know, I forgot. Some photos stored in the mobile phone gallery are too important, which not only affects whether he can continue to stay at a national restaurant, but may also be involved in more serious criminal cases. Therefore, in the face of Wang Huanshan's questioning and the torture of Wang Denmiai's increasing strength, Wang Ben gritted his teeth and refused to reveal the power on password. Wang Ben's gnashing of teeth against the torture immediately aroused Wang Denmiai's true arrogance. She continued to increase the strength of her grip on the opponent's wrist, which made Wang Ben howl even more miserably, and also made the two firefighters supporting Wu Yu endure the pain. He couldn't help but frown. However, just when they were about to come forward to rescue the tortured Wang Ben, Zhang Fenjai's voice of stopping suddenly came to their ears. "Denmiai, stop it." While stopping Wang Denmiai from continuing to torture Wang Ben, Zhang Fenjai stepped to her side and reminded her. "If you continue to hold it hard, the bones in his wrist will be completely broken. It's okay. At the worst, I can give him 100 or 80,000 yuan in compensation. It's better than him continuing to harm other women." Thinking that Wang Ben dared to attack her private parts just now, Wang Denmiai was very angry and wanted to get rid of the dirty hand that attacked her. This was the first time she disobeyed Zhang Fenjai's instructions. "Denmiai, let go," Zhang Fenjai, who frowned slightly, ordered with a slightly unhappy tone. In fact, for Wang Ben, a ruthless trash like him, even if Wang Denmiai wanted to kill him, let alone destroying one of his hands, he would not have any objections. However, there were not only many building staff watching around, but also two firefighters with a strong sense of justice. Her reckless behavior would bring herself a lot of trouble. At the same time, he had a way to make Wang Ben faithfully unlock the password of his mobile phone, but the prerequisite was that he should maintain a clear consciousness. That's why he stepped forward to stop Wang Denmiai from harming Wang Ben. Able to hear the displeasure in Zhang Fenjai's tone, Wang Denmiai immediately released her grip on Wang Ben's wrist, and then looked at Zhang Fenjai nervously. After glaring at Wang Denmiai with dissatisfaction, Zhang Fenjai nodded gently at the two firefighters and smiled, then took the phone from Wang Huanshan's hand. Then, he reached out and grabbed Wang Ben's collar and carried him directly to the door of the fire escape. After avoiding the eyes of everyone, he took out a delicate porcelain bottle from his sleeve, uncorked it and placed it under Wang Ben's nose. The painful look in his eyes was quickly replaced by confusion, and then Wang Ben stood there motionless. "Wang Ben, slap yourself." After taking back the porcelain bottle placed in Wang Ben's nose, Zhang Fenjai ordered with a hint of expectation in his eyes. "Pa, pa." Even though the wrist of his right hand was red, swollen, and painful from being pinched by Wang Denmiai, after hearing Zhang Fenjai's order, he still raised his right hand and slapped her face hard. "Stop it." After signaling Wang Ben to stop slapping him in the face, Zhang Fenjai looked at the exquisite porcelain bottle in his hand with a look of surprise in his eyes. The porcelain that was able to control Wang Ben's consciousness just now was the soul-eating pill he found from Gu Zixuan, the Thousand Sword Master, when he captured him alive at Tianren Hospital some time ago. Although there are records about the soul-eating pill in the Taoist classics, he has never really seen the power of the soul-eating pill, so he has always maintained a skeptical attitude in his heart. This is why he has never tested the soul-eating pill since he obtained it. Reason. At this time, Wang Ben could easily control his mind by simply smelling the scent of the soul-eating pill, which was enough to prove that the records about the soul-eating pill in the classics were true. At this moment, Zhang Fenjai knew that the soul-devouring pill in his hand could play a role in certain specific occasions, which was no less than the life-saving trump card given by the third grandfather and others. After taking a deep breath and forcibly suppressing the surprise in his heart, Zhang Fenjai carefully put away the porcelain bottle containing the soul-devouring pill, and then handed the mobile phone in his hand to Wang Ben and instructed. "Wang Ben, open the password of the mobile phone and find the pictures in the gallery." Wang Ben, who reached out to take the mobile phone, obediently unlocked the password of the mobile phone, and then found the photos stored in the gallery. After taking the mobile phone back from Wang Ben, Zhang Fengjai only took a glance and knew why Wu Yu misunderstood Wang Huanshan. Because the photos displayed in Wang Bin's mobile phone were all sexy pictures of Wang Huanshan wearing relatively thin clothes or nothing at all. Moreover, from Wang Huanshan's calm and natural expression, as well as the angle and position of the shooting, it shows that she was willing to let others take pictures, which also made Zhang Fengjai's eyes flash with a trace of disgust. Reaching out and gently patting Wang Bin's forehead to dispel the influence of the soul-devouring pill smell on him, Zhang Fengjai turned back to the crowd and handed the phone to Sulitzi, who had an expectant look in her eyes. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Best Physiognomist. Author, Yan Yun Yuqi. Chapter 446. Scene Tang Building, in front of the elevator on the first floor. After looking at several photos stored in the phone, Sulitzi questioned Wang Huanshan with a livid face. Shan, what's going on? Wang Huanshan, who reached out to take the phone, also took a few steps back when she saw her sexy photos, and then showed an unbelievable look in her eyes. No, this is impossible. Without paying attention to Sulitzi's questioning or Wang Huanshan's reaction, Zhang Fengjai walked to Wu Yu and solemnly warned him. The male and female palace under the left eye is filled with a lot of pink, which means that Wang Bin had at least 3 or 4 women living with him outside during the period when he was in love with you. The husband and wife palace on the left side of the left eye is dim, which means that Wang Bin has no marriage in his life, which means that he will never marry any woman in his life. There are 3 black lines in the life palace between the eyebrows, which means that Wang Bin has 3 serious disasters in his life, and each disaster may make him fall into ruin. Wu Yu, forget Wang Bin, the man who can't give you a future, and find your own happiness again. Although she didn't know how powerful Zhang Fengjai's fortune-telling skills were, from his ability to transform into a giant goshawk, Wu Yu believed in his judgment of Wang Bin's character and future destiny. So, facing Zhang Fengjai's kind advice, she nodded and agreed. I will go to the company to resign this afternoon, and then take the train back to my hometown in the northeast. I am afraid I will never come to Ningji City again in the future. Looking at the elevator door slowly opening, Zhang Fengjai nodded with relief, and then walked towards the elevator. But just as his right foot stepped into the elevator, he turned his head to look at Wu Yu's belly, and said with a complicated look. Wu Yu, before you resign, you should go to the hospital first. This. She could guess the reason why Zhang Fengjai asked her to go to the hospital, but the motherhood given by heaven made her reluctantly reach out to touch her belly, with a look of embarrassment in her eyes. Alas! After entering the elevator and turning around, Zhang Fengjai sighed and reminded. Wu Yu, that child is no longer meant for you, don't keep forcing it. You, what do you mean? Wu Yu, whose face changed slightly, asked hurriedly. Reaching out and pressing the elevator door closing button, Zhang Fengjai gave Wu Yu an answer that made her face pale instantly when the elevator door was completely closed. Wu Yu, the moment you decided to jump off the building to commit suicide, the fetus in your belly had already left. The fetus leaving the belly means only one thing, that is, premature death, which made Wu Yu, who wanted to keep her flesh and blood, fainted with a pale face. Fortunately, the 2 firefighters behind her quickly reached out to support her, and carried her out of the hall and rushed directly to the nearest hospital. Huanshan, what is going on? Sulitzi, who did not follow Zhang Fengjai into the elevator, walked to Wang Huanshan and continued to question with a stern look. Sister Litzi, I don't know. Looking up at Sulitzi with a stern look, Wang Huanshan's eyes showed fear and confusion. Isn't it you in the photo? With the ironclad evidence in front of her, Wang Huanshan still refused to tell the truth and quibbled, which made Sulitzi very angry. After snatching the phone, she found a photo without any cover and questioned. It's me, Wang Huanshan nodded and admitted. Biting your lips lightly, deliberately highlighting your figure with your head held high, it's obvious that you are willing to let others take pictures for you. How could you not know? Pointing at the pose of Wang Huanshan in the photo, Solitsi asked more angrily. Sister Litsi, you and I have known each other for 3 or 4 years, and you should know my nature very well. How could I be willing to take such shameful photos? After the confused look in her eyes gradually regained clarity, Wang Huanshan explained anxiously. Looking at Wang Huanshan, who didn't seem to be lying at all, Solitsi couldn't help but frown. As a close friend, she knew how conservative Wang Huanshan, who was cold and aloof, was. Even in the hot summer, she would only wear a half-sleeved shirt and a long skirt that went below the knee. Like the sexy outfits in the photos on the phone, I'm afraid she would never give in even if a knife was put to her neck. It was for this reason that Solitsi was so angry when she saw the sexy photos on the phone. Things that were obviously impossible to do were done unconsciously. Wang Huanshan's state at this moment reminded Solitsi of a male protagonist with a dual personality in a movie she watched last year. The plot he played was very similar to Wang Huanshan's current situation, and a resolute look flashed in her eyes. Then, she reached out and pressed the elevator indicator button, turned her head and told Wang Huanshan. Huanshan, in addition to the mysterious methods you just saw, Yezi also has medical skills that can bring people back to life, so I plan to let him take a look for you to see if you have a more serious schizophrenia. Schizophrenia, a better name is dual personality, and a worse name is mental illness. So, when she heard that Solitsi not only suspected that she was mentally ill, but also asked Zhang Fengjai to diagnose and treat her, Wang Huanshan instinctively turned around and ran away. But at this moment, Solitsi's voice suddenly came to her ears. Yui, stop her for me. Then, a gloomy and cold breath enveloped her, which made Wang Huanshan stand there as if she was trapped in an ice cellar. Then, she looked up at the little girl standing beside her, a handsome young man walking quickly, and a woman with a relatively outstanding appearance. Sister-in-law, who is this beauty? Looking at the peerless beauty trapped by Lu Yui's evil aura, Zhu Zhenjun's eyes flashed with a stunning look. But thinking of He Tongtong, who was easily jealous, he quickly retracted his gaze and asked Solitsi in order to avoid punishment on his waist. She is my best friend Wang Huanshan. After briefly introducing Wang Huanshan's identity, Solitsi asked puzzledly. Brother Zhu, Sister Tongtong, why are you here? My brother called me half an hour ago and told me and Tongtong to hurry to Yongsheng Group. Zhu Zhenjun shrugged and replied. After hearing Zhu Zhenjun's reply, Solitsi nodded, then reached out and grabbed Wang Huanshan's arm, forcibly pulled her into the elevator and warned her. Huanshan, if you want to know what those photos in the phone are about, just follow me to see Yezi, otherwise, the friendship between you and me will be severed from now on. Although sisterhood is important, compared with being embarrassed in front of Zhang Fengjai, Wang Huanshan would rather offend Solitsi and leave. However, when she saw the little girl staring at her, thinking of the gloomy aura emanating from her, Wang Huanshan could only choose to obey the order and follow the arrangement. The Best Physiognomist. Author, Yan Yun Yuqi. Chapter 447. Yongsheng Group, in the chairman's office. After hearing Solitsi's conjecture about Wang Huanshan's condition, Zhang Fengjai's eyes flashed with a thoughtful look. In fact, for the dual personality and multiple personality mentioned in medicine, that is, the so-called schizophrenia, there have long been very detailed records and analyses in Taoist classics. The difference between the two is that medicine classifies schizophrenia as a psychological disease, which needs to be treated through psychological counseling and medication. Taoism classifies schizophrenia as a variation of the soul, including the coexistence of two souls, possession of bodies, ghost possession, etc. The treatment method is relatively simple, that is, to directly destroy the soul that should not appear. At the same time, combined with the previous observation and understanding of Wang Huanshan, the thoughtful look in his eyes was gradually replaced by determination, and Zhang Fengjai stood up and walked directly to Wang Huanshan. Then, he mobilized the gray energy of Danshan to open the sky eye and began to carefully observe the soul in Wang Huanshan's sea of consciousness. However, just when the eyes of the sky with gray energy just touched her soul, Wang Huanshan suddenly fell to the ground with her hands on her head and screamed in pain. Yezi, Huanshan, what happened? Solitsi, who stood up suddenly, asked anxiously. But before she finished asking, Zhang Fengjai stopped her with a sharp look. Then, he took out an ordinary silver needle from his sleeve and pierced it directly into Wang Huanshan's eyebrows. After the silver needle pierced into the eyebrows was pulled out, Wang Huanshan, who was no longer screaming in pain, slowly stood up with her hands on the ground. Although her appearance and figure did not change at all, Wang Huanshan, who stood up again, gave people a feeling of being a completely different person. The passionate temperament replaced the cold and aloof, and the indifference in her eyes was replaced by tenderness, and then matched with her slightly upturned sexy mouth. At this time, Wang Huanshan was completely a beautiful rose in full bloom. At this moment, Wang Huanshan gave people an incomparable visual impact and enjoyment. Are you the elder sister or the younger sister? Seeing Wang Huanshan's temperament and state change drastically, Zhang Fengjai, who had a flash of enlightenment in his eyes, put his hands behind his back and asked indifferently. I am the elder sister, my name is Wang Huanlian. After reaching out to pick up a few scattered hairs in front of her forehead, Wang Huanshan, whose temperament suddenly changed, smiled charmingly and answered. The earth-shaking changes in temperament and eyes, the enchanting and charming movements when tidying up the messy hair, and then the visual impact brought by her peerless appearance. The charm displayed by Wang Huanlian at this moment not only made Zhu Zhenjun, a man, feel dry mouth and long yang slightly raised, but also revealed strong shock and envy in the eyes of several women such as Solitsi. Wang Huanlian, will you choose to be reborn or die next? Zhang Fengjai, who was not affected by the temptation at all, asked indifferently. Licking her sexy lips with her tongue, Wang Huanlian, who was more visually impactful, asked with a smile. What is rebirth? What is death? If you choose to be reborn, leave your sister's sea of consciousness on your own, and then I will personally send you to the reincarnation of Nahi Bridge. Zhang Fengjai explained with a slight smile on his face, connecting his thoughts to the Taoist silver needle in the sea of consciousness. If you choose to die, then I will personally wipe out your 3 souls and 7 spirits, and make you completely disappear from this world. Facing Zhang Fengjai's explanation, or more accurately, the threat, Wang Huanlian asked with a smile without any fear. Zhang Fengjai, this perfect body bestowed by God belongs to my sister Wang Huanshan, and also to me, Wang Huanlian, so why don't you drive my sister Wang Huanshan's soul out of the sea of consciousness? Humph. Facing Wang Huanlian's seemingly reasonable questioning, which was actually a specious argument, Zhang Fengjai refuted with a sneer. First of all, this perfect body does not belong to you, Wang Huanlian. You are a robber who has taken over someone else's body. Secondly, the body that belonged to you, Wang Huanlian, was discarded because of premature death the moment you were born. At that time, you should have chosen to reincarnate immediately. Finally, the fragile sea of consciousness can no longer accommodate the souls of 2 adults at the same time. Wang Huanlian, if you continue to entangle, the final result will be that you and Wang Huanshan will both die. Haha. Facing Zhang Fengjai's righteous rebuttal, Wang Huanlian couldn't help but laugh up to the sky, and 2 lines of tears fell from the corners of his eyes along with the laughter. After laughing for nearly 30 seconds, Wang Huanlian suddenly stopped laughing and narrated with a hint of sadness. Zhang Fengjai, when you question the legitimacy of my existence, have you ever thought about why I became like this? 22 years ago, my mother was in a car accident, which caused my sister and I to come into this world early. Because we were born 3 months earlier than the scheduled time, my sister and I were premature babies with underdeveloped bodies, which eventually led to acute organ failure and we had to be temporarily sent to the ICU incubator. Faced with the high cost of my sister and I's treatment, my father and mother, who felt sorry for spending money, could only choose to give up one of us. At this point, Wang Huanlian's sad expression was instantly replaced by anger, and she questioned Zhang Fengjai with strong resentment in her eyes. Why? Why did they choose to save my sister and give up on me? Why? Why did they let me die for Wang Huanshan? I don't accept it. Not only do I want to live well, but I also want to retaliate against them. I want to let them know how stupid their original decision was. At this point, Wang Huanlian's angry expression was suddenly replaced by happiness, and she showed off triumphantly. Isn't Wang Huanshan a conservative person who is self-disciplined and follows the rules? Then I will use her perfect body to dress sexy and seductively, and then send the photos I took to my parents. Isn't Wang Huanshan arrogant and aloof and looks down on any man? Then I will use my sexy and seductive body to seduce those men she looks down on. Isn't Wang Huanshan's exquisite and skilled cooking skills derived from some unique recipes? Then I will destroy the base ingredients of the recipe and make her lose her high-paying job. Wang Huanshan is not. Faced with Wang Huanlian showing off her means of revenge against her sister, not only Sulitzi, who is her best friend, showed an extremely angry look in her eyes, but even Shen Loxi and others who were not very familiar with her also showed strong dissatisfaction in their eyes. The Best Physiognomist. Author, Yan Yun Yuqi. Chapter 448. Yongsheng Group, in the chairman's office. Alas. After interrupting Wang Huanlian's boasting with a sigh, Zhang Fengjai asked with a trace of pity in his eyes. Wang Huanlian, if your parents didn't love you, why would they name a dead daughter as a memorial? Wang Huanlian, if you were in their shoes and exchanged identities, what choice would you make in the end when you could only save one child? Wang Huanlian, if it was Wang Huanshan who gave up the treatment, and she was resentful like you, then how would you feel at this moment when she used the same means of revenge? Facing Zhang Fengjai's continuous questioning, Wang Huanlian took a few steps back, his face gradually turned pale, and a trace of regret appeared in his eyes. Seeing the regret in Wang Huanlian's eyes, Zhang Fengjai nodded with satisfaction, and directly mobilized the grey energy in his dantian to condense a sharp sword, and then used swordsmanship to split the space crack leading to the Nehi Bridge. Wang Huanlian, put aside the resentment in your heart and go find your own life, Zhang Fengjai gently exhorted, pointing to the space crack leading to the Nehi Bridge. Looking at the Nehi Bridge behind the space crack, the numb souls on the Nehi Bridge, and the surging river water on both sides of the Nehi Bridge, Wang Huanlian, whose regret was gradually replaced by fear and unwillingness, walked to Zhang Fengjai. Then, she stretched out her tongue to lick her red and sexy lips, and said seductively with a charming look. Zhang Fengjai, compared to Wang Huanshan, who is as cold as ice and has no femininity, my passion is not only like fire, but I am also proficient in different techniques in Asia, Europe, and America. If you are willing to send Wang Huanshan's soul to the Nehi Bridge and then give me this perfect body, then I can agree to any request you make, even if it is something that ordinary people cannot accept. When Zhu Zhenjun heard the temptation conditions given by Wang Huanlian, his breathing immediately became heavier, and his eyes showed excitement and envy. Sulitzi and Shen Loxi suddenly stood up with a sudden change of expression, staring at Wang Huanlian with fierce flames in their eyes. However, facing the charming temptation shown by Wang Huanlian, Zhang Fengjai not only did not show the slightest interest, but his originally satisfied expression was instantly replaced by indifference, and he stretched out 3 fingers to threaten. Wang Huanlian, I will give you 3 counts to prepare. If you still refuse to leave Wang Huanshan's sea of consciousness when I count to 1, then don't blame me for being ruthless. Facing Zhang Fenjai's murderous threat, Wang Huanlian's face changed slightly, and she quickly crawled to his ear and continued to whisper temptation. Zhang Fenjai, when I was in control of this body, I once practiced some difficult yoga techniques, which can complete some movements that ordinary people can't do. Don't you want to experience it yourself? 3. Still ignoring Wang Huanlian's temptation, Zhang Fenjai directly started the countdown and retracted the finger he had just extended. Zhang Fenjai, are you really so heartless? Wang Huanlian's eyes were immediately filled with tears, and his voice was full of grievances. 2. Ignoring Wang Huanlian's accusation, Zhang Fenjai continued to count down and retracted the second finger. Zhang Fenjai ignored the temptation and was ruthless. Wang Huanlian's face was instantly gloomy. After a look of deep resentment flashed in his eyes, he gritted his teeth and rushed out of his sea of consciousness to curse. Zhang Fenjai, since you are so ruthless and ungrateful, then I curse you to be broken up, separated from your wife and children, and lonely until old age. Facing Wang Huanlian's ignorant curse, Zhang Fenjai's eyes flashed with a cold light, and his right hand quickly formed a seal, directly merging into the turbulent river water of Nehi Bridge. When Wang Huanlian stood steadily on Nehi Bridge, a black giant python with a body of nearly 30 meters suddenly jumped out of the turbulent river water, and then opened its bloody mouth and swallowed Wang Huanlian directly. Afterwards, the black giant python looked at Zhang Fenjai through the space crack, with a sinister murderous intent in its eyes. Fortunately, Lu Yui, the only one who could see the Nehi Bridge and the black python, left the office early because she was bored, so she did not cause Shen Loxi, Sulitzi, and others to worry. After calmly reaching out to wipe the space crack leading to the Nehi Bridge, Zhang Fenjai sighed secretly, and then turned to look at Wang Huanshan, who had eliminated the hidden danger. At the moment when Wang Huanlian left the sea of consciousness, Wang Huanshan, who quickly took over the body, looked at Zhang Fenjai with a complicated expression, and turned around and left the office without saying a word, which also made Shen Loxi and He Tong snort in dissatisfaction. After smiling apologetically at Shen Loxi and He Tong, Sulitzi turned her head and asked Zhang Fenjai. Yezi, I want to go see Huanshan. Sister Litzi, go, Zhang Fenjai smiled and nodded. After Sulitzi left the office, Zhang Fenjai's eyes swept over Zhu Zhenjun and Shen Loxi, and he got straight to the point. Brother Zhu, Loxi, I went to the tea house in Kingsinju this morning and reached an agreement with the owner of the tea house, Wu Yuja. From now on, he will no longer protect and help Chen Yunhan of Zhulong Group. After hearing the information revealed by Zhang Fenjai, Zhu Zhenjun and Shen Loxi looked at each other and found surprise in each other's eyes. Because the Lu family lost the protection of Shang Shiniu, the recent bad luck and the amazing gains of the two companies have made them truly realize the importance of having the protection of a mysterious strongman. Now, after losing the protection of the mysterious strongman Wu Yuja, Chen Yunhan, who began to be plagued by bad luck, may be like Lu Shaoqiao of the Lu family. Not only can he not keep the huge wealth and industry he has accumulated over the past few decades, but he is also unable to continue to operate the many projects and land owned by the Zhulong Group. Then, what they need to consider next is how to seize the wealth and industry in Chen Yunhan's hands in the shortest time, and how to annex all the projects and land of the Zhulong Group at the lowest price. If he can successfully take over the wealth and property accumulated by Chen Yunhan, Zhu Zhenjun will have enough financial resources and confidence to fight back against the Zhu family. If he can successfully annex all the projects and deeds of the Zhulong Group, then the Yongsheng Group led by Shen Loxi will be able to replace it and become the leading enterprise in the real estate and tourism industry in Ningji City. Seeing Zhu Zhenjun and Shen Loxi, who had realized the business opportunity and started planning together with He Tong and Wang Denmei, Zhang Fenjai, who had no interest in business at all, turned around and returned to his desk. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Best Physiognomist. Author, Yan Yuchi. Chapter 449. Yongsheng Group, in the chairman's office. Looking at the blue sky and white clouds displayed on the computer screen, Zhang Fengjai had a look of worry in his eyes. It turns out that according to the records of the underworld in Taoist scriptures, the name of the river under the Nehi Bridge is Wangchuan River. The water of the river has the effect of freezing the soul for 3 days and reducing the sins of the 3 lives. Therefore, faced with Wang Huanlian's vicious curse, he planned to use the shock method to control the water of the Wangchuan River to punish her and let her know the consequences of offending him. But what was completely beyond his expectation was that there was a yin python that had lost its body hidden under the Wangchuan River, and was influenced and guided by the shock technique, and directly swallowed Wang Huanlian's soul. Wang Huanlian's final fate was entirely her own fault, and Zhang Fengjai did not care or blame herself at all. The only thing he is more worried about now is that the yin python under the Wangchuan River is not only full of strong murderous intentions towards him, but also the opponent has locked onto his aura through the gray energy contained in the shock method. If you use Taoism and swordsmanship to open the space rift leading to the Nehi Bridge next time, you will most likely be attacked by the yin python. Being able to withstand the power of the frozen souls in the Wangchuan River, the yin python's cultivation level, even if it has not reached the golden elixir realm known as the Avenue of Immortals and Gods, has probably touched the golden elixir realm, which is also commonly known as the top power. Among all the life-saving trump cards in his hand, only the Xianlei talisman and the mountain-shaking talisman can kill the top experts who have touched the realm of golden elixir. But these 2 precious talismans were his trump card to defend against the top powerhouses of the 10 major Taoist sections. He did not want to waste them on the yin python, nor did he want to cause an early outbreak to attract attention. After thinking about it, Zhang Fengjai finally decided not to use Taoism and swordsmanship to open the space crack leading to the Nehi Bridge before he had the strength to challenge the realm of touching the golden elixir, so as to avoid fighting the yin python in advance. Perhaps it was because he had encountered a lot of things recently, or perhaps it was because he had broken through the last level of intimacy with Solitsi, Zhuang Jian and Shen Loxi one after another, which made him too indulged in the gentle land and temporarily ignored the words he had personally spoken. A promise was made to reincarnate an evil spirit. After having the idea of solving the problem in his heart, Zhang Fengjai stopped worrying and directly opened the playback software of the Recharge membership and continued to watch TV series about vampires and werewolves. Because he had a very strong premonition in his heart that the Western alien races and the Holy See, which were not taken seriously by Third Grandpa and his seniors, were likely to bring unimaginable disasters to Taoism and China in the future. It is precisely for this reason that he hopes to use the plots performed in the TV series and combine them with the vampires and werewolves he encounters in reality to try to understand himself and the enemy as much as possible. Time passes by minute. Just when Zhang Fengjai was completely immersed in the plot of the TV series, Solitsi's voice suddenly came to his ears. "Yi, do you have time tonight?" After typing on the keyboard to pause the scene where vampires and werewolves were fighting fiercely, Zhang Fengjai looked up at Solitsi and replied with a smile. "If it's to accompany Sister Lizzie, even if I don't have time, I will still make time to accompany you." Glib tongue. Although she seemed to be dissatisfied with the criticism, Solitsi still felt very satisfied and sweet in her heart when faced with Zhang Fengjai's disgusting statement. Then, she put away her happy smile and asked solemnly. "Zi, Huan Shan wants to treat you to dinner alone tonight. I wonder if you are willing." "Why?" Zhang Fengjai, who frowned slightly, asked with a puzzled expression. After all, after just experiencing the disaster of escaping from death for the 2nd time and the selfish harm to her family, what Wang Huanshan needs to do most now is to recuperate and adjust her own state. Shrugging her shoulders, Solitsi gave the reason for Wang Huanshan's invitation with a hint of helplessness. "First of all, she wants to repay you for your 2nd life-saving grace. Secondly, She wants to know the specific whereabouts of her sister Wang Huanlian. Thirdly, she has some psychological things that she wants to talk to you alone. Sister Lizzie, can I not go? Thinking of Wang Huanlian, who was devoured by the yin python because of his revenge, Zhang Fengjai, who was unwilling to lie in his heart, instinctively wanted to refuse the invitation. I'm afraid it won't work. Solitsi shook her head and said with a wry smile. Because I have agreed to Huanshan's invitation for you, and the time is set at 7:30 tonight. The location will be in the romantic capital room of Tia National Restaurant on the third floor of the building. In fact, when Wang Huanshan asked Zhang Fengjai to have dinner alone, she only gave the first two reasons. This was also the reason why she agreed to the invitation on Zhang Fengjai's behalf without authorization. However, when she left the Tia National Restaurant on the third floor, she accidentally saw a trace of tenderness in Wang Huanshan's eyes that she had never seen before, and she vaguely felt that the reason why the other party invited Zhang Fengjai to eat alone was probably not only just the two reasons given by the other party. Therefore, the third reason she just gave to Zhang Fengjai was entirely guessed by herself. Thinking of the charming temptation displayed by her sister Wang Huanlian and the romantic atmosphere created when eating alone, Solitsi had already begun to regret her decision to accept the invitation for Zhang Fengjai without authorization. After all, Wang Huanshan only needs to dress up briefly, and the charm she exudes is enough to attract all men. Okay. Since Solitsi had already agreed to it on her own, Zhang Fengjai was unwilling to go against her will, and just nodded helplessly to accept the invitation. Yezi, Huanshan is not only a poor person, but also a good girl that I sincerely recognize. If tonight's alone time is just a simple meal and chat, and then go home separately, that would be the most ideal result. If intimate actions beyond friendship occur during the alone time, she will feel very uncomfortable, but she does not want to see Wang Huanshan get hurt. At the same time, she can also accept the fact that Wang Huanshan has become her sister. So, before getting up and leaving the chairman's office, Solitsi solemnly exhorted. Sister Litsi, what do you mean by what you said just now? Zhang Fengjai, who was completely confused by Solitsi's inexplicable exhortation, couldn't help asking. I want to go. Thinking of Zhang Fengjai's love debt that was in the spotlight, Solitsi glared at him unhappily, and then quickened her pace to leave the office. In response to this, Zhang Fengjai shook his head in confusion, then glanced at the time displayed on the computer and found that there were still 2 hours until the agreed time, so he continued to watch the TV series. The Best Physiognomist. Author, Yan Yun Yuqi. Chapter 450. In Xintang Building. Maybe she was worried that Zhang Fengjai, who was in a defensive mood, would ignore the time of Wang Huanshan's invitation, so at 7:25 in the evening, Solitsi called specifically to remind her. And the truth is, just as Solitsi worried, Zhang Fengjai, who was completely immersed in the plot interpretation, had subconsciously forgotten Wang Huanshan's invitation. When he saw that the time displayed on his mobile phone had changed to 7:26 minutes, he quickly closed the computer, got up, left the office and went straight to the third floor of the building. Tia National Restaurant Group is a chain store that combines Chinese and Western styles. Its main business philosophy is to combine the culture of Chinese cuisine with the atmosphere of Western catering, striving to achieve the dual enjoyment of vision and taste. It is a restaurant with a unique style and is also very popular. Favored by urban elites and white-collar workers. Having dined with Solitsi and Shen Loxi at the Tia National Restaurant more than once, Zhang Fengjai, who was familiar with the business, directly bypassed the busy hall and came to the private room in the romantic city. Reaching out to push open the dark red wooden door of the elegant room, and stepping into the slightly dimly lit room, Zhang Fengjai couldn't help but be stunned for a moment. Because opposite the long dining table, Wang Huanshan, wearing a light purple low-neck dress, is like a blooming violet, dazzling and exuding a charming atmosphere. If he hadn't personally sent Wang Huanlian's soul to Nahi Bridge and witnessed Wang Huanlian's soul being swallowed by the yin python, he would now even doubt that the soul controlling the perfect body in front of him was still the open-minded Wang Huan. Lotus. After all, Wang Huanshan is a very conservative girl both mentally and physically. She has never even worn a skirt lower than the knee, let alone a low-cut dress that highlights her sex appeal. Zhang Fengjai, you're here. Zhang Fengjai's overly surprised gaze made Wang Huanshan, who felt a little proud in her heart, quickly stand up and greet her. Then, she walked around the long dining table to Zhang Fengjai, and personally helped him hold the chair and signaled. Please take a seat. With their similar heights, Zhang Fengjai could clearly feel the fragrance exhaled from her mouth and the faint floral fragrance emanating from her body. The collar he pulled when he reached out to hold the chair allowed him to see the looming vacuum of the other person, and a warm current instantly emerged from his abdomen. Thanks. After quickly changing his gaze and taking a deep breath to suppress the warmth that surged in his abdomen, Zhang Fengjai thanked him and sat upright on the chair, then looked at the 6 delicacies that had been prepared on the dining table. However, except for the peacock fish and acupuncture sea cucumber, the remaining 4 exquisite dishes seemed relatively unfamiliar to him. While Zhang Fengjai was admiring the dishes, Wang Huanshan turned around and walked to the counter in the corner of the private room, and then took out 2 transparent glasses and 4 bottles of 15-year-old national wine. Then, she explained with a smile while pouring pure white wine. Zhang Fengjai, I once heard Sister Litsi say that you don't seem to like Western food and red wine, so I prepared 6 bottles of 15-year-old national wine in advance, as well as Shandong cuisine, Sichuan cuisine, and 2 homemade dishes. I know if you like it or not. The craftsmanship of famous chef Wang can be said to be unknown to everyone in the political and business circles of Ningji City. Everyone knows it. I will definitely like the delicious food you prepared by yourself, Zhang Fengjai quickly complimented Road. With a chuckle, Wang Huanshan returned to the chair with a wine glass and a bottle of national wine. After filling herself up with a glass of white wine, Wang Huanshan raised her glass. Zhang Fengjai, first glass of wine, thank you for your second life-saving grace. Wang Huanshan, it's just a little effort, you don't need to be so polite. Seeing Wang Huanshan gulping down the wine in the glass in one gulp, Zhang Fengjai hurriedly expressed his gratitude and drank the wine in the same gulp. Zhang Fengjai, don't move. After reaching out to stop Zhang Fengjai, who wanted to pour the wine himself, Wang Huanshan quickly stood up and walked to his side. She took the initiative to fill the glass for him, then returned to her chair, and then raised the glass she had just filled. The second glass of wine signaled. Zhang Fengjai, second glass of wine, thank you for letting me know the existence of my sister, and letting me feel the sisterly love I have always longed for. Regarding what her sister Wang Huanlian did, Zhang Fengjai didn't know what to say. He just drank the wine in the wine like her. Wang Huanshan, who also stood up and filled up the wine for Zhang Fengjai, returned to the chair and raised her glass for the 3rd time. Zhang Fengjai, 3rd glass of wine, thank you for agreeing to my invitation today and giving me a chance to fulfill my wish. What is your wish? Looking at Wang Huanshan with doubts in his eyes, Zhang Fengjai asked in a toast without being anxious. I'll tell you when you finish the glass of wine, Wang Huanshan, whose face turned red instantly, demanded with a hint of coquettishness. All right. He drank morning and night, so Zhang Fengjai nodded and drank the wine in the glass without delay. The wine glass used in the restaurant is a medium-sized glass specially used for tasting red wine. The capacity of a glass is about 3 or 2 yuan. Without much pause or rest, even an ordinary person with a good capacity to drink might not be able to withstand the influence of alcohol after drinking nearly a kilogram of high-strength liquor. Therefore, when Wang Huanshan stood up and planned to continue pouring wine, not only her eyes began to blur, but her steps were not very steady either. Wang Huanshan, let me do it. Seeing Wang Huanshan who couldn't open the bottle, Zhang Fengjai quickly stood up and planned to help. But at this moment, Wang Huanshan, who suddenly couldn't stand steadily, fell directly into his arms. Considering that there was a hard dining table and chairs behind him, Zhang Fengjai didn't care about the difference between men and women and directly reached out to hug Wang Huanshan. I don't know if it was Wang Huanshan's instinctive reaction or her unintentional act. Her two arms, like warm jade, tightly hugged his neck. The distance between their eyes was only 7 or 8 centimeters, and they could feel each other's accelerating heartbeats. Feeling Zhang Fengjai's breathing getting heavier, Wang Huanshan slowly closed her eyes and put on an expression of letting you pick her. At this time, if Zhang Fengjai didn't guess Wang Huanshan's intention to invite him to dinner alone, then his brain was really broken. At this moment, he finally understood the true meaning of the words Sulitzi left when she left the office. Perhaps when Sulitzi invited Wang Huanshan on her behalf, she had already guessed her thoughts and seen through her true intentions. But not only did she not reject or stop it outright, but she secretly helped to make it happen. This generous mentality made Zhang Fengjai really not know what to say.